spray paint to vandalize and make a statement. People in Southern California are getting notes on their Teslas, calling them complicit Nazis for owning electric cars.
Tesla, once a symbol of progress and clean energy, is now at the epicenter of a global crisis that threatens the very existence of the company and its legendary founder, Elon Musk. The company's shares have plummeted by more than 40% in recent months, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Protests are erupting at showrooms and factories around the world, and in Europe, Tesla cars are being set on fire in the streets. What is behind this storm? Financial collapse, political warfare, or a carefully planned campaign to destroy the brand?
Running around on stage with a Tesla stock price, where the stock price had gone in half. And he was overjoyed. What an evil thing to do. What a creep, what a jerk. Like who derives joy?
Insiders are selling off shares en masse, including those close to Musk. His own brother sold millions of dollars worth of Tesla shares, and the CFO left the company after a major sell-off. Investors are losing patience, wondering whether Tesla will ever be able to live up to the ambitions with which it entered the market. Meanwhile, competitors such as Volkswagen and Mercedes-Benz are gaining ground by presenting themselves as politically neutral alternatives.
Outperforming as well in some cases, doing better than Tesla. And you just have to think, how much more is this a sustained issue for Tesla going forward, given the fact that you have Elon Musk, who's been very forthright in his opinions, particularly weighing in on politics, particularly in Europe. We've just had the European elections, which Musk has been very focused on. But across the piece, when you look at the performance for Tesla in Europe, it's not just in small countries. A lot of countries where Tesla has been performing badly, including in Germany, in the UK, where it has been lagging, and Spain as well.
But Tesla's crisis is not just about numbers and stocks. Elon Musk is accused of using the company as a political tool. His close ties to the Donald Trump administration and active participation in a federal program to cut public sector jobs have sparked a wave of outrage and protests around the world. People see Tesla not just as a car brand, but as a symbol of political division, which is radically changing attitudes toward the brand.
Well, this feels more like a Tesla-only story when you look at just this fall in EV sales for them, that they're suffering across Europe, down 45% in January. The wider EV market in Europe up 37%, so rivals are catching up and performing.
The protests, which began as peaceful demonstrations, have escalated into acts of arson and vandalism, especially in countries such as Germany, where sales have fallen by 76% in just 1 year. This is the biggest crisis for Tesla since its founding. Social media is full of hashtags such as boycott Tesla and dump Musk, and consumers are refusing to buy the company's cars en masse, fearing that they would be supporting the political views of its CEO.
Does that help Tesla? I mean, you had Tim Waltz, who's a huge jerk,
The situation within the company is no less alarming. Employees are anxious about falling stock prices, which are often part of their compensation package, and the atmosphere is tense due to public attacks and the growing scandal surrounding Musk. The threat of job losses, increased competition, and political protests are creating a real storm for Tesla that it will have to deal with today. What is going on behind the scenes? How are Elon Musk and his company being drawn into a whirlpool of political games and corporate conflicts? Will they be able to find a way out of this crisis, or will Tesla forever remain a symbol of missed opportunities and shattered expectations? In this video, we take a detailed look at the causes and consequences of the biggest crash in the history of electric cars, and we also examine who is behind the hunt for Tesla and why. Stay with us, because the story is just beginning, and what lies behind the headlines and scandals is truly shocking.
I mean, the things that he's doing is not trying to make America better. He's ruining our infrastructure, every department in our government he's ruining, and he's right now destroying our economy. He's taken away all of our allies. We're a pariah in the world.
Tesla is going through one of the most dramatic periods in its history. The rapid and painful decline in its share price has become a symbol of a deep crisis that has engulfed not only the financial sector, but also the public perception of the company. In the first 3 months of 2025, Tesla's shares fell by a record 41.4%, prompting many experts to talk about the most significant market correction for the company in the last 10 years. This decline is not limited to temporary market fluctuations. It reflects systemic problems, growing investor mistrust, and a number of factors that are seriously undermining the brand's reputation and financial stability. Among the key warning signs are massive sell-offs of shares, initiated not only by external investors but also by insiders themselves.
Well, you will hear people over in Europe say the new Model Y, the Juniper, could be a difference maker, but that's been in that market now for more than a month. And you would think that you would see a greater snapback if it's going to be a difference maker. Look, we could be wrong. It could be a difference maker once you get the sales for April, May, and June. But when you have a country like Norway, I think the sales were down something like 11% there. I mean, that's a very savvy EV consumer in Norway. And that's long been a strength for Tesla. Very small market, not huge volume, but I think almost all of the vehicles they sell there are electric. And they embraced Tesla long before others. And, you know, the reports there are not encouraging.
Interestingly, one of the most notable moves was the sale of shares by Musk, Elon Musk's brother, who suddenly disposed of a stake valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. This news caused real panic among retail investors who traditionally view insider actions as a sign of possible serious problems within the company. However, it is not just about Kimball, Tesla's CFO, after a long tenure, also left the company in selling a significant portion of his stake shortly before the sharp drop in the share price. Combined with the fact that some board veterans have begun liquidating their shares, a grim picture emerges in which even those who know best about Tesla's internal affairs do not believe in the company's imminent recovery.
That's from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. People just choosing with their wallets to not buy Teslas because of that Musk-Trump association. And actually here in London, an activist group called Everyone Hates Elon actually have been hacking bus stop signs with posters. I actually passed one yesterday. First, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but it said the words 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. The illusion here, 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds or something. But this poster was alluding to the start of World War II, and the image was of Musk giving that hand salute that we saw at Trump's inauguration that many have attacked as a Nazi gesture. Musk, though, has neither admitted or denied what he was doing. But we're seeing the knock-on effect of that anti-Musk anger across Europe and in terms of sales.
Such large-scale sell-offs are not only a psychological blow to the market, but also a real factor weighing on the share price, creating a kind of vicious circle. Panic among investors leads to a decline in value, and the decline in value provokes even greater panic. The fall in Tesla's shares coincided with the departure of many institutional investors, hedge funds, and large mutual funds which had previously been the company's most active and reliable supporters. Their mass exodus points to deeper and more long-standing problems related not only to production and technology, but also to management decisions. One of the insider rumors that leaked into business circles says that several key institutional investors began secret negotiations in 2024 to sell their shares at a pre-agreed price in an attempt to minimize losses and protect themselves from further losses. Such coordinated action only exacerbated the overall pressure on Tesla shares and intensified the domino effect, making the decline virtually irreversible. Among the external factors exacerbating the crisis, it is worth highlighting the growing competition in the electric vehicle market. Companies such as Volkswagen, Hyundai, and Mercedes-Benz have reached new levels of quality and technological innovation, often outperforming Tesla in a number of key indicators.
We've accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
He praised all the domestic actions he has taken so far on immigration.
And I deployed the U.S. military and border patrol to repel the invasion of our country.
And spending cuts.
We are draining the swamp. It's very simple.
At the same time, unlike Tesla, Many of these manufacturers position themselves as politically neutral brands, which, given Tesla's growing politicization, is becoming increasingly important to buyers who do not want to be associated with a controversial political figure at the helm of the company. It is this political aspect associated with Elon Musk that deeply divides investors and customers. Musk simultaneously leads several major technology projects such as SpaceX, Neuralink and X, formerly Twitter, raising questions about his ability to devote the necessary attention to Tesla. The growing number of projects, multiplied by Musk's political activism, creates the impression that he is spreading himself too thin, losing focus on his core business.
371, most were saying 350 to 360. Now they're coming in at 336,068. Production of 362,615. So for some point of reference here, you're going back to Q2, maybe Q1 of 2022 in terms of the last time that they had production this or deliveries this low for one quarter. So again, Tesla deliveries worse than expected at just over 336,000 deliveries in the first quarter. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
That's horrible. Can I just ask Phil, how about the Cybertruck? How's that doing? You got a little inventory there in the Cybertruck?
According to unconfirmed reports, several key Tesla managers have expressed concerns in private conversations that Musk's political ambitions and his involvement in federal programs such as the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, are distracting management from the company's strategic goals. These facts, although not officially confirmed, reinforce investor doubts and add to the instability. In response to growing market volatility and mass protests, investors have become more cautious in assessing the risks associated with Tesla, and many have begun to diversify their portfolios by reducing their holdings in the company. Combined with general economic instability and political tensions, this poses serious challenges for Tesla and Elon Musk. In addition to financial turmoil, Tesla has found itself at the center of a large-scale public protest campaign known as Tesla Takedown. This movement, which originated in the US and quickly spread to Europe, has evolved from a series of peaceful demonstrations into a wave of active resistance.
After Trump imposed those sweeping 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports, the European Union retaliating with tariffs on up to $28 billion of U.S. goods. Trump making it clear this isn't over, vowing to respond in kind with sweeping retaliatory tariffs early next month.
They're doing what they should be doing, perhaps, for the European Union, but it does create ill will. And as you know, we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs. So whatever they charge us, we're charging them.
Canada also striking back with new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods, mostly steel and aluminum, but also computers and sporting goods.
This conflict is not just a blow to Tesla, it is a challenge to all businesses based on a combination of innovation and public trust, showing how quickly public opinion can become a decisive factor in the fate of a corporation. The Tesla crisis has long gone beyond national borders and becoming a global phenomenon that affects not only financial performance, but also the brand's reputation and Elon Musk's image as a leader and entrepreneur. In Europe, where Tesla has traditionally been seen as a symbol of progress and environmental responsibility, the situation has changed dramatically. In key markets such as Germany and France, the company has faced a sharp drop in sales and active resistance from consumers and social movements. Tesla's sales in Germany fell by more than 76% in just 1 year, a figure that has shocked analysts and investors alike. This decline is explained not only by increased competition from European automakers, but also by the political context in which Elon Musk finds himself.
Canada, the largest supplier of steel to the U.S., slapping new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods that are sold in Canada. And the 27 countries of the European Union imposing retaliatory tariffs on up to $28 billion worth of U.S. goods sold in Europe, including Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon. President Trump with the Irish Prime Minister visiting the White House today. The president suggesting his tariffs won't stop here, saying, "Of course, I'm going to respond." And tonight, right here, the new poll showing 56% of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy. The number's even worse now on the president's tariffs.
Many Europeans perceive Musk as a political figure whose views and actions are far from the values of sustainable development and social justice. his close ties to the Donald Trump administration, and his involvement in initiatives related to job cuts in the public sector are perceived as threats to the European social order. As a result, Tesla has become the target of boycotts, protests, and even acts of vandalism. In Berlin and Paris, activists are not just expressing their discontent. Some of the company's cars are being set on fire, and showrooms and service centers are becoming arenas for mass demonstrations and clashes with the police.
Tesla shares have slumped by more than 9% amid a fall in sales in Europe. The electric vehicle maker posted lower sales across 5 European countries, including France and the UK. Joining us now to discuss this is CBS News foreign correspondent Remi Inocencio. Remi, why do we believe these sales are dropping? What's driving that?
Sure. Well, Errol, basically what Elon Musk has been talking about over the past, say, few months, ever since Donald Trump's election back to the White House, that has been fueling this anger, this frustration. Some even say disgust towards Musk, and they're taking it out on Tesla. Tesla now feeling the pain. But because of what's happening here in Europe, Tesla sales fell by nearly half across the continent just last month, 45%.
This international negative trend is not limited to Germany and France. In Scandinavia and the UK, there is a growing number of online campaigns and street protests aimed at discrediting the brand. Hashtags are appearing on social media, bringing together Tesla critics from around the world and creating the impression of a united and powerful movement against the company. In the UK, for example, protesters organized a demonstration in which they used a Tesla car body to create an installation with the words "Don't buy Tesla." This symbolic gesture received widespread coverage and was shown in the international media, reinforcing the brand's negative image. The rise in negative perceptions of Tesla is directly reflected in sales. Buyers who once proudly chose the company's cars because of their innovation and environmental friendliness are now increasingly turning away from purchases because of Elon Musk's political image. This is particularly noticeable among young and progressive audiences, for whom social responsibility and neutrality are extremely important values. Musk, who was previously almost a cult figure, is now perceived as a divisive figure and a source of political controversy, which significantly reduces Tesla's appeal as a brand.
Over the last couple of months. But the other thing that this could potentially be is an attempt at readjustment or correction by the Trump administration, in that one of Trump's closest kind of allies and supporters, and someone who's clearly very influential in the administration, is coming out to kind of push back against the recently implemented policies. So I'm thinking, or maybe hopeful is the right word, that this might be a signal that the administration is considering walking back some of those policies.
At the same time, the situation within Tesla is exacerbated by intensifying competition and falling demand. Despite price cuts and discounts offered by the company to stimulate sales, many consumers perceive these measures not as a benefit, but as a sign of instability and a desperate attempt to retain customers. This also undermines the brand's prestige and raises new questions among investors about the company's long-term viability. Investors are concerned about financial performance on the one hand, while on the other, the growing influence of political scandals and public protests is causing them to doubt Musk's ability to lead the company to stable growth. Musk is simultaneously leading several major projects, including SpaceX, Neuralink, and the social network X, which gives the impression that his attention is divided and that Tesla is suffering from a lack of focus.
Worse than expected, 336 and 68 vehicles, 336,068 vehicles delivered in the first quarter for Tesla. For a point of reference, the street was expecting, the street account was expecting, based on analyst expectations.
There is growing discontent within the company. Employees who receive compensation in the form of shares are anxious about their falling value and uncertainty about the future. Musk has repeatedly called on staff to keep faith in the company and not sell their shares, but against the backdrop of massive sell-offs by top managers and relatives, this optimism is perceived as detached from reality. There is already a tense atmosphere in a number of offices and production facilities, and news of political protests and acts of vandalism are not helping to improve morale.
Hey Diane, this investigation really just beginning, and one of the key elements will of course be the surveillance video, and investigators potentially have a lot of it to work with as they try to figure out what caused this fire. We know that surveillance footage has been turned over, including video from each of the cars, which could prove vital to understanding what happened here, because each vehicle has its own camera system that works even when the car is off, and 16 cars burned in this fire, and right now investigators don't know what caused it.
What will happen next remains an open question. One thing is certain: Tesla and its leader are at the center of a powerful political and public storm, the consequences of which could change the automotive industry for years to come.
KTLA's Samantha Cortese joins us live with more on the wave of vandalism in protest of Elon Musk and his role in Washington. Sam?
Hi, Sharon, Micah. The ATF and FBI are collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement to investigate acts of domestic terrorism surrounding Teslas.
Tesla's crisis is not limited to external challenges. It has penetrated deep into the company's internal structure, undermining investor confidence and calling Elon Musk's leadership into question. Investors who previously viewed Tesla as a promising and stable asset are now increasingly expressing disappointment and concern. The mass exodus of institutional investors and the signal of declining confidence from insiders are alarming indicators of serious problems within the company. The departure of key figures such as Musk's brother, Kimball, and the former CFO, who rushed to sell their shares during a period of maximum uncertainty, has been particularly noticeable. These actions by insiders are perceived by the market as a sign of serious internal conflicts and doubts about the company's future.
But they are not ruling out the possibility that this was arson. At the same time, as you just mentioned, there are groups that have been organizing ongoing and peaceful protests at Tesla dealerships around the world. These demonstrations targeting Elon Musk and his affiliation with the Trump administration. Italy's prime minister is said to be close friends with Musk, and there were reports that Teslas have been vandalized in her hometown in Italy. Diane.
Thus, Tesla finds itself in a difficult trap. On the one hand, the company is suffering from financial losses and declining sales, while on the other hand, internal conflicts, a deteriorating moral climate, and political instability create additional risks to its existence. Many analysts agree that without serious changes in management and strategy, Tesla will not be able to overcome the current crisis. Musk faces a choice: either focus on the company's core mission and regain the trust of investors and customers, or continue playing political games, risking losing its status as an industry leader forever. The key decisions that will be made in the near future will determine Tesla's fate for years to come. Not only does the company's financial well-being depend on this, but also its influence on the development of the electric vehicle market and technological innovation. While competitors are exploiting Tesla's weaknesses to strengthen their positions, the company must find a way to consolidate its internal resources and restore public trust. But will it be able to weather this powerful storm? Or will Tesla forever remain an example of how political and corporate mistakes can destroy even the most successful and promising projects? Time will tell. But one thing is clear: Tesla still has many difficult challenges ahead, and their outcome is unclear to everyone.